Homage to the lineage gurus, homage to the Venerable Liao Ming, homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong, homage to His Holiness the 16th Karma Ba, and homage to Master Tupten Dorje. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice, Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. Simu Danchen Katso Rinpoche, Dharma master, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the internet, and our participating VIPs tonight are the Madam to Ambassador Daniel Liao, the Taipei rep to Sweden, Dharma Sister Judy, accountant to Buddha School, Dharma Sister Teresa, producers for the Geni Diansang Shinten, Dharma Sister Rebecca Shiachi, and from the Sunny Line Dance Group, Dharma Sister Eliza, and from the Voices of Heaven Choir Group, Dharma Sister Chu Qi-jun, Dharma Sister Liao Li-ying, and Dr. Ryan Zhuang.
欢迎大家光临。大家晚安，大家好。
Good evening, everybody. Welcome, everybody. How do you do?
今天我们是做这个地藏王菩萨本尊法的同修。
We had the group practice of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, and we all know
很少人知道他也有净土。
about Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, but not many people knows about his Pure Land, which is called the Cui Wei Pure Land, which is a very emerald, the marvelous emerald green Pure Land. That's the meaning.
那么地藏王菩萨呢，是师尊。
And Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva is Grandmaster's brother.
以前每一次要
In the past,
救这个地狱的众生
every time we want to salvage beings from hell, we always need Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva.
他的允许，要得到地藏王菩萨的允许。
We need Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva's endorsement or support, because Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva and Grandmaster are like brothers.
的地狱都很简单。
So that's why it's easy for Grandmaster to go back and forth from hells. And this time, prior to my reincarnation in this human world, Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva gave me one of his attendants right alongside me. And I can say that this attendant is like my protector, that at the critical time he would appear. So this attendant is really marvelous. And it's just so that Golden Mother and Amitabha Buddha entered into the heart of my attendant and transformed to become a tremendous deity, the Mahabala. So we can say that Golden Mother, Amitabha Buddha, and Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva united, and the union of these three deities is the Mahabala. So we can say that he is the union, the trinity of Golden Mother, Amitabha Buddha, and Padma Kumara. That's Mahabala. My yidam in the past was Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. I often said about the three kings. One is the Buddha king. The Buddha king is Amitabha Buddha, and the king of the sages is Golden Mother. And then the king of the earth is Siddhigarbha, or the earth store Bodhisattva. I remember long ago, I saw a lot of human, like people made of mud or covered by mud. And I saw a huge number of people covered with mud. And they went to hell. And then, not long after that, I saw that there was the little village that was being flooded by the mud, like by the mudslide. So after I saw that in hell, and soon after my vision, that village was having the mudslide. But among them, there were two families that took refuge into Buddha school, and the rest were Catholic. So these two households not buried by the mudslide, but were just being pushed by the mudslide. Their houses floated on the mudslide and pushed them quite far away, and so they were still alive. And they were two Buddha school disciples. And the rest were buried in the landslide or the mudslide. So the disciples told me that they live in this village called the Xiaolin Cun. But the mudslide actually lifted their houses, so the houses became like boats on top of the mud and floating quite far away. When they woke up, the whole village disappeared, and all the villagers died except this two households that happened to be two Buddha school disciples. So that was really incredible. That's very extraordinary. So Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva was really great in his salvation of sentient beings. And Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva with Amitabha Buddha, Golden Mother, and Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva are Grandmaster's 3 yidams. I have 3 yidams. Padma Kumara is the same as Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. And Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva is also Padma Kumara. Of the 4 great Buddhist mountains in China, Mount Jiuhua in the Anhui province of China. Someone by the name of Jin Qiaojie was at the Mount Jiuhua as his spiritual center. And then afterwards, Mount Jiuhua became the spiritual center of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. And this Jin Qiaojie was a Korean. He was from Korea. And all my life I highly admire the spirit of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, that as long as the hell is not empty, he vows to not become a Buddha. And Grandmaster's vow is similar to Siddhigarbha's vow. Before I deliver all the sentient beings of samsara, I will continually stay or come again to samsara. That's the spirit of Mahayana Buddhism, which is primarily to deliver sentient beings. Frankly speaking, everybody would practice yidam. So your vows have to be the same as the vows of the yidam in order to gain spiritual union. If your vows is against the vows of the yidam, then it would be very difficult to gain spiritual union or yogic response with your yidam. So in Buddhism, we say faith, vows, and cultivation. So faith is that you have faith in your yidam. You believe in him or her. And your vow or your wish is to become like the deity, like the yidam. And you apply and execute the vows of the yidam. Once you make the vow, you have to put it into practice or into action. So faith, vows, and actions. It's the same with Amitabha Buddha. He teaches us in order to go to his Pure Land, we need faith, vows, and chanting the Buddha's name. So you need to have these 3 qualifications. So the chanting the Buddha's name is the same as the action or the cultivation. So Grandmaster has formed a habit with Amitabha Buddha. Do you know when I do the push-ups, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha. That's 30 times. So when I do push-ups in front of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, I would do 30 times, and I would chant 3 times Amitabha Buddha. You would never imagine that Grandmaster has a way to protect the kidneys, using my palms to rub on the place of the kidneys, and I do it every time I'm taking a bath, about 200 to 300 times of rubbing the areas of the kidneys. In the ancient time, they used the fist, but I used my palms. And all the same, I would chant 300 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 6, 2, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amitabha. So that's 100 times. And I do that every day. So inadvertently, you chant Buddha Amitabha's name. So you rub the kidneys 300 times. And then I get used to it by chanting Amitabha Buddha. Every time prior to sleep, I would also say, Namo 36,119,500 Buddhas by the same name and Anita identification of Amitabha Buddha. Om Ami Devase. Namo 36,119,500 Buddhas by the same name and identification of Amitabha Buddha. Om Ami Devase. So you form this habit of chanting Amitabha Buddha because you have the faith in that Amitabha's Western paradise exists, and you vow to be reborn into the Western paradise of Amitabha Buddha. And then your cultivation or implementation is chanting Amitabha's name. So at any time you are practicing the Pure Land Dharma. And True Buddha School also has the Pure Land practice. In the beginning, I did chant Amitabha's Buddhas, and now I get used to it. So faith, vows, and cultivation. The same with Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. You have faith in Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva and the Pure Land, and you believe in Siddhigarbha's vows, and you make the vows the same as Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, and that's how great he is, and then your conduct and behavior is the same as Siddhigarbha. You are willing to stay in hell, not to be punished, but that's the marvelously emerald green Pure Land to salvage sentient beings. That's the cultivation. Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva is to deliver sentient beings. Sakyamuni Buddha entered into parinirvana, and he entrusted the Jambudvipa sentient beings to Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. There are many famous bodhisattvas. Manjusri, very famous, the Dharma Prince. The Manjusri Dharma Prince. That's how we called on him. In Avatamsaka realm, Manjushri Bodhisattva was the Dharma Prince, a great Bodhisattva. And Kuan Yin, or Lokeswara Bodhisattva, he is one of the 3 sages of the Pure Land. And Kuan Yin was a Dharma Prince in that realm. Also great Bodhisattva. So Manjushri and Kuan Yin Bodhisattvas are great Bodhisattvas. But the Buddha entrusted samsara to Siddhigarbha. That's Sakyamuni Buddha's last wish. Because Siddhigarbha appeared in the form of Sravaka, which is he had shaved his head, appearing as a monk, and the other bodhisattvas have hair. Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, Manjushri Bodhisattva also have hair. So that's the view of most people. Manjushri, of the 8 great bodhisattvas, Kuan Yin, Manjushri, Samantabhadra, Maitreya, Siddhigarbha, Akasagarbha, they're all great bodhisattvas. Viskambi, in the womb mandala, he has Akasagarbha court, Viskambi court. They're all great bodhisattvas, and Vajrapani bodhisattva. These were the 8 great bodhisattvas, and yet the Buddha entrusted only to Siddhigarbha bodhisattva. So that means that Siddhigarbha was really supreme. Although most people think of Kuan Yin and Manjushri as the focus, and they are both Dharma princes. That's my simple introduction of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. Now let's continue on Lamdre. So it's better when it is a little bit distance. If you're too close, then you often argue. Secondly, there is a branch of the worldly path that is internally divided into 7 divisions. They are the outline on the cost to generate stabilization, the exposition of the outline on the cost to generate stabilization, the path of abandoning suspicions and misgivings, the 4 awakenings, the cause of mindful abiding, the fruit of correct discernment, and the conclusion. Most people reading this would not understand, would not quite understand. These are the 7 divisions of the worldly path. The outline on the cost to generate stabilization, the exposition on the outline on the cost to generate stabilization, the path of abandoning suspicions and misgivings, the 4 awakenings, the cause of mindful abiding, the fruit of the correct discernments, and the conclusion. This is 7. Actually, they were originally just 1, and yet they were divide it into 7 to explain. So from 1, and then they divided it into 7. As 7 points. The cause to generate stabilization. Why can you have tranquility of the mind? What are the causes? So the cause to generate stabilization explained, and the path of abandoning suspicions and to be mindful of the ultimate truth and the 4 awakenings, 4 ways to let you be awakened, and the cause of mindful abiding. How can your mind be tranquil and stop of all thoughts? And the fruit of correct discernments, and this is in Tantrayana, is Tche and Tok, as we have learned in the past. And Tche is the correct discernments, and you attain the fruition of that, and then the conclusion of all of them together. That's my brief explanation. What is the cause to generate stabilization? So, in order to stabilize and to stop all thoughts, which is the correct stopping. Actually, stabilization, meditative stabilization is extremely difficult. Why do you want to meditate? Why do you want to achieve meditative stabilization? Why do you want to reach the state of no thoughts? What reasons are there? We can say it this way. We can think this way. Birth to death. That's a period of time. If you go to the graveyard, in the past, they often ask Buddhists to go to the graveyards. Why? To let you see what the future holds. Then you can diminish your desire, to stop your desire, and to stop all your afflictions. What is the benefit of going to the graveyard? Those who are buried there are perhaps your grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, are all buried there. If your father and mother have passed away, they have become ash. And if you often go see them, think about it, that in the future you would be like them, or you would be in the columbarium. And then at that moment, you would think that in my future, how can I go higher in the 6 rebirth realms and not fall into the 3 lower realms? Then at that time you would think about cultivating spiritually. There's so many beings that are buried on earth, or inside the earth. And some flow with the water, in the water burial. And if they're cremated, they would become ash. All they have is memorial tablets, that in the future you would become like that. And only this way you would be able to generate meditative stability. So there was a great guru that on his head, the head of the bed, there was a character death to always warn himself that one day we all will die. So those who brags, the fortune tellers, when you walk in, they would tell you that, oh, you know, you have a calamity that you potentially can die, and you would be shocked. So what should I do? Well, I'll help you to change your faith. How much money? And then they would ask maybe 300,000. So as soon as you walk into the fortune tellers, they would tell you, you're going to die. And you was very shocked. But actually, everybody will die. Everybody's going to die. That's correct. So they didn't lie. But you were tricked because you wanted to change your faith. About the possibility of death. And the masters here, they were all the masters of like the manners, like, you know, they are masters of threatening, like everybody will die in your family, and within a few years you would be in a car accident, and they just threaten you. But if you just cultivate spiritually in your daily life and you don't care about what will happen, then you will not be cheated or tricked. And you just follow the authentic Dharma to cultivate spiritually, and you're not scared of death. Because ever since the beginning of time, there's not one person who doesn't die, who didn't die. So ever since the beginning, is there anyone that never died? Even Pengzu, who had lived for 800 years, he still died. And he got more and more depressed as he lived, because the first wife died, the second wife, third, fourth, fifth wife all died. And not just wives, and his sons died, his grandchildren all died. And it would be strange if you don't get depressed. What would you do to live such a long time? Unless you are propagating Buddha Dharma and cultivating spiritually. Only with the Buddha Dharma propagation and spiritual cultivation that your life is meaningful. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Why would you want to live such a long time? Pengzu had married so many wives. All the wives died, and the children died, the grandchildren died. So the great-grandchildren too died. They all died before him, and he was still alive. But what use is that? So if you want to die, might as well die together. So please don't be threatened by the masters of manners. There are many masters who like to threaten people. and would tell you that in the future you would suffer. And your husband is your enemy from the past life. And your son is also your enemy. There's so many threats. So they were living a good life, and then after they met this master, they finally suffered and died. You were living fine, and you have nothing to scared of, and then you took refuge into the school and followed a master who likes to threaten and scared you to death, and she got fat, and you lost everything. So the genuine meditation, meditative stability is this. You need to comprehend that life is not permanent. Money is not forever. Your children or grandchildren are also not permanent, not forever. And children and grandchildren too will be gone one day like you. And money also not forever. Health is also not forever. That in the future, when you're old, you would know. I often told my mom when we go out together and she was walking really slowly, and I said, Mom, can you walk faster? Well, when you're my age, when you're old, you would know. Now, it's my turn. I'm a grandfather now. Then I know why they walk so slowly. And you become less and less energetic. You know, adults cannot catch children running. They ran faster than you do. And you cannot keep up with them. You would know when you're old. With the birth, aging, old and sick. And that's the reasons or the cause to generate stabilization. And then you want to meditate, and from meditative stability you generate wisdom, and from the wisdom you generate the meditative stability. So the meditative stability and wisdom are the two wings of Buddhahood. So you need these two wings of meditation and wisdom in order to attain Buddhahood. And our masters, our venerables, and Dharma propagators, by all means, never to threaten those who lack Buddhist wisdom or Buddhist knowledge. Please don't threaten them. If they are suffering from difficulties, you need to teach them how to overcome the difficulties, but not to threaten them. You know, the mundane people, the mundane con artists would use this method, these tricks, to threaten people to get money. So many spiritual cultivators use these three methods. The first one is hypnosis. So like brainwashing, hypnosis. There are some Dharma propagators that you use this hypnosis so that you follow whatever she says. And
你不相信
second
吗？我
is
讲100遍
brainwashing.
就变成真的，其实是假的。
So if you don't believe it, I'll
他
just
每一次
repeat
都
it
骗你，
100 times,
一次骗你，
and
2次
the
骗你，
false, the
骗了
fakes
100
become
次
the
你都
truth.
认为是真，他自己也认为真的。
So
其他的人
after
不
he
认
or
为
she
真的。
lies over and over again, even she believes
那
it
是什
too,
么？
and
那是
others would
洗
believe
脑，
it too. That's called
把你脑
brainwashing.
袋洗干净了，
So
全部变
to
成他的语言
brainwash,
灌到你的脑海里面，
so
这个就
all
叫
that's
做洗脑。
inside your brain is what she says,
把
sure
你
he
脑袋
says.
的念
That's
头
called
拿开，
brainwash it.
全部放
To
进
take away
他的念头在你的脑
your
袋里面，叫
thoughts
洗脑。
and to
第3个
push
方
in
法就是吹
all of
神
her
牛。
words. And the third
吹
way
牛
is
不知道什么
bragging.
啊，吹牛大家都会吹，
So not just regular
但是
bragging, but
他就是
using
喜欢吹神牛，
bragging with the
吹
supernatural
神通的牛。
mysticism.
这一点他用这3个方法，就可以
So
把
by
你
using
身
these
上所有的
3
钱变成我的钱，
tricks that they can get
催眠、
all of your money.
洗脑。
So
吹神
hypnosis, brainwashing,
记住这3
and
个方法。
bragging about
你们
supernatural
将来要
mysticism.
聚财，
So
要赚
remember
钱
them.
用这3个方法是很好用。
Anyone
但是
can get a lot of money
最终的
using these
结果
3 tricks. However,
是下三
the
恶
end result would make you fall
千
into
万
the
不要做。
3 lower realms. So by all means, never do
我
them.
不骗你哦，我现在讲的是真的哦。
So I am not kidding.
催
What I
眠
say is real.
跟着他的脚步走，
So hypnosis,
洗
you
脑
would follow
换他的脑袋，
him or
把
her.
你脑袋换成他的脑袋。
Brainwashing
第
would be
3
like
个
changing
吹
your
神通呢
thoughts to be like him or her. And third is bragging about the
哎，你
supernatural
心
mysticism.
跳咯，
And
心
you're
跳咯
totally
听到
befuddled
最后呢，
and muddled.
哎，发觉自己钱包的钱都没有。
And at the end, you discover that all your money is gone.
为什么？恐
How
吓
come?
起财啊，吹神牛，
Because they use this
全部都是恐吓起财
trick, threatening trick to get money.
这3点要注意的。生定的原因是因为生老病死，你看透了，
So
看开了，
the cause to generate
就
stabilization
能
is
够有，
the Four Noble Truths.
就能够有成就，
So if you see
产生
through
定
them,
力
if you
了，
rise above those,
不会
then you would
被
have
洗
attainments,
脑，
you would generate
不
meditative
会被
stability.
催
Then you would
不会
not
被
be
吹
able to
神
be
通
hypnotized
骗，
or to be brainwashed or to be tricked by those
这个是智慧。
supernatural mysticism. Then that would be wisdom. That's called wisdom.
女儿讲，对爸爸讲了，爸
The
爸要
daughter
上柔道课，
Told her, Dad, I want to take lessons of judo.
就日本的柔道很有名。父亲讲，女孩子家不要学柔道。
From
女
Japanese,
儿
that's
说
very
为
famous.
什么呢？
And Dad
父亲
said,
讲，
"This
女
a
孩子
girl
有了
shouldn't
武
learn
功啊，
judo.
谁还敢娶？
Why? Because
女儿讲说，爸，
if the daughter
错了，
has a kung fu, no one would
我
be
有
able
了
to
武功
bully
啊，
him,
谁
her.
敢不娶我？
Who dares to marry you? But the daughter said, wrong. You know, now that I have kung fu,
啊，
who
这是两
dares
个
not
思
to
想
marry
啊。
me? So
谁敢
that's
娶你？
two point of views.
一个是
Who
谁不敢
dares
娶
to
你？
marry you? And the other one said, who dares
这
not to
两
marry
种思
me?
想非常的
So
重要，
There are
你
two
要了解，你要懂得智慧。
point of views. So
你
you
有
need
智
to
慧了，
understand and you need to have
你自
wisdom.
己有定力了，
Once you have wisdom and you have
谁来
meditative
摇都摇不
stability,
动你。
doesn't
谁
matter
来
who
动都
try
动
to
不动
shake
你。
you, you're unshakable.
你没有
And
定
no
力，
matter how they try to push you,
就这
you're
样墙
unmovable.
头草，风吹两面
But
倒。
if you have no meditative stability, you're like the grass on the top of wall.
你自己要产生定力。
Wherever
你
the
修行一定
breeze
要修
blow,
出你
you
自
would
己本
fall
身的
to
定
that
力。
direction. So in your spiritual cultivation, you have to generate meditative stability. If you are correct and upright, then nobody can push you. So this is a kind of meditative stability. And the reason or the cause of this generation of meditation, because you know what is birth, what is aging, what is old age, and what is sickness. And after knowing or comprehending all this, you start to practice meditation. And in meditation, first you need to stop your thoughts. It's written. This is the worldly path. You have to cause to generate the meditative stability, because you have seen through the world, and eventually you want to learn meditation. And the cause is in birth, aging, old age, and sickness and death. You want to be liberated from samsara to attain Buddhahood and Bodhisattvahood. That's the cause of meditative stability. Xiaoming said, even if there are 10 beautiful ladies in front of me, as long as you appears, I told this lady that everybody would be dark compared to you. But women always said that. Oh.
小明讲，这倒不是，是因为你太胖了，挡住了。
Oh, am I really that radiant compared to all this other beautiful ladies? And then Xiaoming said, no, because you're just so fat, you would block them. So the desire for food and desire for sleep, if you don't stop your desire for food, then you would gain weight, you would be fat. So you need to stop or cut off your desire for food. Every day I notice that the food that they prepare for Simu, she would never finish. At first, she used her clean chopsticks to take out from her plate. She doesn't eat this and she doesn't eat that. That's why she's so slim. Only that she has big face, so that looks good. I called her pizza face. That's good. So when she falls, on her face, she's still a pizza. Doesn't matter how she falls, she would not hurt her nose. She has a really nice figure. Most aging women would be big and fat, chubby, because she can control her desire for food. If you can stop your desire for food, then you would be slim. But if you can't control your desire for food, then you would be swollen. That's cause and effect here. So you saw what you reap. That's how it is. So if it's sweet, that's melon. If it's bitter, it's bitter melon. So that's cause and effect. You saw what you reap. If you don't plant anything, how can you be fat? you have great appetite and you want to lose weight and you cannot control your appetite, all you have to do is to control your desire for food. So the cause to generate stabilization is to cut off your desire. Then you would generate meditative stability. But the boss of a company drank too much and said, because once you are drunk, then your speech would be uncontrolled. So the bonus at the end of the year would be, so you would get the gift of your zodiac. Like say if you're Taurus, then would give you a cow, and then if you're Aries, then would you get a lamb, and Pisces you would get 2 fish, and for the Cancer you would get a crab. And there's an employee that's really happy. Why? Why are you so giddy? And then he said, I'm a virgin. I'm a Virgo. So the boss would give him a virgin because he's a Virgo. So he was really pleased that the boss gave him like a crab, a kind of crab. That's called like a Virgo crab. So this kind of joke. So you would think like what zodiac you are, and you would get. That's because the boss talked too fast. But in reality, there's no free lunch in the world. Nothing is free. You get what you planned. So you get after your diligence or your efforts, whether on your worldly path or enlightenment path, you have to put in a lot of efforts, and to be diligent is something that each spiritual cultivator has to do. So the outline on the cause to generate meditative stabilization, simply said, is the birth, aging, sickness and death. And then the exposition of the outline on the cause to generate stabilization. The exposition, like the exposition on the development stages of Tantrayana, that covers everything. Or also the exposition on the path of Bodhisattva, which is also exposition that covers everything. That the path of abandoning doubts and suspicions, once you become a Buddhist, you want to have faith in his correct Dharma. You don't want to have doubts and suspicions. So don't have doubts and suspicions about the path. Why? Because in your spiritual cultivation, before you gain spiritual union, you would have doubts and suspicions. But please don't. You just want to continue and diligent and steadfast in your spiritual cultivation, and eventually you would reach the realm that you strive for. So if you haven't gained spiritual union, then you will, because you have transformed the 3 karma into the 3 secrets. In Tantrayana, you transform the karma of the body, speech, and mind to become the secrets of the body, speech, and mind. And this is the cause of mindful abiding. So, what is the cause to stop your thoughts? That's the same as the cause to generate meditative stabilization. It's very difficult to stop our thoughts. If you can't stop your thoughts, that would be stopping your thoughts. And it is written in the True Buddhist School that the realm of no thoughts is the authentic Buddha quiescence. And the realm of no thought is the realm of emptiness. Once you generate the realm of emptiness, then you have no more thoughts. Then you can generate meditative stability. Meditation is not a simple matter. It's not easy to achieve it. Many people have learned or practiced meditation for a long time, and yet they still have all kinds of thoughts. And what is the cause to stop your thoughts? It is related to the cause to generate stabilization, that you have seen through the world. Then you can generate stabilization. Then you can stop your thoughts. In Beijing, the other day, when we had dinner, they said the joke. A man from Beijing went to the grassland and took a deep breath, and oh, what a fresh air. This is great. And he couldn't stand the clean air and the fresh environment, and he was poisoned and fainted. And the ambulance got there and asked, where is he from? From Beijing. And then he actually, and then the ambulance worker took him off the oxygen mask and put the mask to the exhaust of the car. And then he woke up and said, oh, this is the smell of my hometown. I often feel like that. From Seattle, going back to Taiwan, I cannot get used to that. The air of Taiwan, the smog is really bad, especially in the central Taiwan. Maybe the mountain areas in the north is slightly better and the south is slightly better. But the central Taiwan, because we have lots of industries that generate smoke. So when I got there, it's like a fish that had been swimming in the fresh air of Seattle, and then getting to Taiwan is like being thrown into a filthy ditch, and then I would turn upside down. So sometimes when I got in touch with that kind of air, I would be sick, like for a whole month. But coming back here, there's so many pollens, and the air is too fresh, so I feel like I'm being poisoned.
这个很清凉的空气啊，
You know,
其
this
实
is
里面也有
fresh and cool air. There's also poisons in it,
所以一下子跑臭水沟，
toxins.
一下
So
子跑到
sometimes
这
I'm
个
in the
最干净
ditch,
的水地方，
and
不
then
要
I'm in
空
the
气太好，
cleanest air.
又回到臭水沟，
Seattle air
又
is the
从臭
best.
水沟回到这个干
And
净
then
的水，
back to the ditch, and then
翻来
back
覆
to
去，
the fresh
哪能不病呢？
water,
不病才神
back
经
and。forth. That's why, you know, it's not the surprise that we get
这个
sick.
很奇妙的。
And if you don't get sick, then that would be too strange.
这也是讲这个原来我们住在大染缸里面，被染久了，
So we live
不
in
适应。
the
有些人呢、
contaminated place that we don't get used
娑
to.
婆世界住久了，
You know, some people living in the
极乐世
samsara
界突然之间，
for a long time, and then if they go to the Western paradise, they would be shocked. What is this? The realm of utmost bliss? It's so
我女朋
boring.
友都不见了。
My girlfriends are gone.
当你一个人跑到极乐世界的时候啊，一个人
If you
走
go
路
to the Pure
我
Land
的
by
亲友
yourself,
都没有来，只有
and
一个人，
none of my
在
friends
极乐
are
世界
there,
一定会得忧郁
you're
症。
just by yourself, then you would get depressed in the Western paradise.
还好了，
But
那时候
good
每个
thing
人心都相通的，
that
有一个人快乐，所有的
everybody
人
would
就
be
是快乐。
interconnected. So if one person is happy, everybody would be
这样
happy.
就像这样，娑婆世界是怎么样子？
So
我们
Saha
应该
works
感
like
谢
this.
上帝，
We
让
should be
宠物
grateful to
不会
God
说话，
that the pets
因为
don't talk,
宠物啊，知道
Because
我们的秘密太多了。
because pets know our secrets.
我记得有一次是这样子，
I remember
有
one
一个老
time
公啊，
there was a
他经常
husband
牵着狗去遛狗。
that walked the dog.
有一次，她老
And
公
one time
出差了，那个狗
The husband was on a business
就
trip,
没有人带他去遛，
so
那老
nobody
婆就
walked
带
the dog.
牵着这个狗去
So
遛。
the wife walked the dog.
这个狗啊，它这老狗识路，老狗
And
它
the
懂
dog
得路，它就一直走，一直
knows
走。
the
遛狗那太太
road
就跟着它走
and the wife just followed the dog.
啊，
And
怎么带它去一个
And the
家
dog
那个狗就
brought
在
her to a
抓那个
house
门，
that scratched on the front door,
一敲一敲，
and
打
the
开
wife knocked on the
这个
door,
原来是小三的家。
and it turned out to be the house of his mistress.
狗不会讲话，但是会带路。
Although the dog doesn't talk, but the dog can
你
knows the
老
way
公经常出去遛狗了，
that the
你要注意
husband that often
自己要
walks
注
the
意。
dog, please
到时候
pay
狗就
attention
把你带到小三的家去。
that the dog brings you to the house of the mistress.
这红尘啊，娑婆世界，它
So
会
the
污
Saha
染人的
world,
心。
samsara,
当它把你污
will
染了，
contaminate the
你不自觉，
hearts or
你没有
minds of
自己
sentient
感觉，
beings. You're already
感觉不到，
contaminated, but you're not aware
完
of
全
it,
被污染，
that you're already
身处在
contaminated
污
or
染之中，
adulterated.
不知道如何解脱自己，
And then you don't know how
这
to
是一个
liberate
人
yourself.
本身的一个悲哀。
So that's the misery of human beings.
这个好像我们在晚餐的时候也讲过，朋友买
We've
来
told
一
this
部
joke
书法
at dinner.
放在家里，
A
他老
friend
婆很高兴，
brought a
先
calligraphy
生也很
to
高
home.
兴，
The wife was
从此一
happy,
家
the
人过
husband
着
was happy,
幸福快乐
and
美
they
满
live
的生活。
happily ever after.
他老婆是从
And
右
the
边念
calligraphy was read
老
by the
公是
wife
从
from the
左边
right
念
and
小
read
日
by
子
the husband from
其
the
乐
left.
也融融。这
And
一幅
they were
这
very
个
happy.
书法
And the calligraphy
太
read,
太怕我，
it's
太太
written,
怕我，
the wife
这
is
是老
afraid
公
of me.
从
that's read by the husband from left to right. My wife is afraid of me, but the wife reads from the right to the left. It's like, I'm afraid of my wife. So the family is harmonious. This is still the realm of thoughts. In the realm of no thoughts, you don't care who is husband or wife, what's husband or wife, who's afraid of who. That the turtle is afraid of the hammer. You just say, who's afraid of who? The husband would read, who's afraid of who? And the wife, and he's happy. And the wife also, who's afraid of who? And she's also happy. So, tantric studies, we need to be embracing, and the conclusion is the great perfection. So, like the correct stopping, which is stopping the thoughts, and the fruit of stopping the thoughts. You need to know when your thoughts stop, then immediately the wisdom of the space would enter into your brain. And I call that Dharma flow, entering into your body. And when you empty yourself, then if you empty your body, the air will enter into you. And also the Dharma flow of the universe will enter into your body. And then you will generate wisdom. At this time, it would be called the awakenings. Then you're awakened. That's the meaning of this excerpt, this piece. That everything will be awakened. You will be awakened once you study, will learn to meditate, empty your mind, and you reach the ground of emptiness, then you will be awakened. I went to buy breakfast, and I heard that the boss fought with the customers. And I asked, why did you fight? Because business was busy and someone was making trouble, and said that my fried breadstick was too hard. That was way off. How was your boss? Oh, there were 3 stitches on his head and his teeth fell off. How did you hit? Because I couldn't stand it, so I used the breadstick to hit him. So when a human being is enraged or confused, don't know that they are confused. You know, it's important that human beings have feelings. When you have a certain feeling toward a human being, then you would follow blindly, because you're not rational anymore. You just follow him or her. So this is an important point. You need to have wisdom. You have to have the correct discernment. The ability to discern and the wisdom. Where do they come from? From the gurus. His Holiness the 16th Karmapa said it clearly. I often told you, anyone that cares too much for their names and reputations are definitely not good teachers. And those who care too much for money are definitely not good teachers.
以前也讲过了。
I've said this before.
抢着地盘的、占地盘
Those who fight for territories are definitely not good teachers or good masters or good
真
gurus.
正好的上师啊，
A
他很
true
精进努力
and
的
good
弘法，
gurus are very
他也不要名，
diligent in their
也不要利，
Buddha Dharma
也不要地盘，
propagation. They don't care for their
这
names
是
or
真正
money
好
or
的上师
benefits or territories. They are the
所以你
real
眼
good
光要
guru.
要睁开啊！
So you need to
什
see
么是好的
clearly
上师呢？他不要
what
名，
is a good
他
guru.
的名
They
字
don't
都可以
care
不
for
要，
their name. They can discard it.
也不要利，
And they don't want
啊
any
一切都给
benefits.
众生随意，
Everything is voluntary
也
for
不
the
要争
beings.
说哪一个寺是
And
我的，
they
哪一
don't
个堂是我的，
fight for
哪一个会是我的，
which temples or
也不用再这样
chapters
子
or
争，
centers.
因为你只是弘法，
You just give Dharma
寺堂
teachings.
会，任何一个地盘你都可以不要。
Temples, spiritual centers, any territories, you don't care.
16字大法王
You can
他
let
们
go
发
of them.
讲
So His Holiness
这
the
3点
16 Gyalwa Karmapa said there's
都
3
做得到
points.
的，不贪
So
不贪
gurus who
也
don't
不贪地盘，
care for names,
这个是
benefits,
真正的好
and territories are
Mani
the
Padme
true good gurus. Om Mani Padme Hum.
非常感谢。